I read a book called The Holographic Universe. And basically what the scientists are saying is that the universe is a hologram.
Meaning?
Well, it's a reflection. It's a reflection of light energy. That everything is the whole, and the whole is the sum of its parts. And I know that when we create reality, it's real in the reality sense. So I guess my question is, the universe, which is constantly expanding, and they don't know why, but I do. The universe itself, or even our planet, it's not matter stuff, is it? Is it? Or is it?
It isn't, is it?
No.
It's all in motion. It's all vibration.
Well, without consciousness, matter doesn't exist, correct?
Because what matter is vibrational interpretation.
Correct.
In other words, you see it because you see it, you perceive it. In other words, it's a hard thing to get your thoughts around at first, because most say, well, this is standing here, and because it is here, if I look that way, I will see it. And we say, well, there's much more to the story. The reason you are seeing it, or feeling it, or tasting it, or hearing it, or smelling it, is because you are interpreting the vibration of it. And in an environment like this, where there is so much vibrational interpretation agreement, then you say it is reality. And yet there are many things that are reality to some that are not to others, because they are not yet vibrationally interpreting. So tell us more about the whole and the parts.
Well, I believe that it's consciousness that perceives. It's consciousness that creates, and it's through perception that we say it's real.
So are you saying to us that you have consciousness apart from your physical body?
Yes.
So if you have consciousness apart from your physical body, would you describe that as what some call God, or what we are even calling inner being?
Well, I would say God is consciousness. Consciousness is God, yes. I've said that for years.
And would you say that the consciousness that is God is also in physical form?
Can be. Could be.
Always is. In other words, the non-physical part of you is consciousness. The physical part of you is consciousness. When the physical part of you that is consciousness is in vibrational alignment with the non-physical part of you that is consciousness, now you are allowing God, as you, in your words, to perceive in physical form. So here's a good way to approach this. Sometimes people will say, are there other physical environments other than what we know here? And we say, yes, many. And they say, well, are we intertwining? And we say, yes, often. And they say, well, will we travel in our apparatuses from environment to environment and dance together in the skies? And we say, never. Because there is enough vibrational variance, it's like tuning your radio differently. Is it unsettling for you to hear that you are consciousness? Do you need to be this flesh, blood, and bone being that you are? In other words, if you can become relaxed with the idea of the eternal consciousness that is you, and you can be thrilled with the idea of this consciousness right now in this time-space reality, and all this means is, this doesn't mean that you've come to planet Earth from some non-physical place. It means that as you are here, the consciousness that is you is looking into this environment and translating the vibration of it into this reality. When Esther's father made his transition last year, Esther chatted with him often in those first weeks once he made his transition. And it was interesting to her to listen to him describe the environment in which he was now focused, and to realize how much like what she is living it felt like. In other words, consciousness is always interpreting something. and making it into some sort of reality. And the thing that trips you up is when you need the reality that you are interpreting to match everybody else's reality. And what we want you to do is be the free form, the free soul, the free being that you are, where you are creating your own reality in concert with others, not demanding that all realities be identical. It's a wonderful framework. You said, I'll go forth into this time-space reality, and together we will agree on enough things that we will have a platform of experience. A platform of experience, a launching pad of experience, not an identical experience that we are regurgitating and trying to drum into one experience. You didn't say, I will come forth into this physical body, into this time-space reality, and I will take all of the possible ideas that exist and whittle them down to just a few that we agree on and say, this is truth, this is good. Instead, you said, we will take our diversity and we will take our variety and we will co-create together, and in the process of this interaction, we will conclude all kinds of new things that have not been concluded before, so that the reality can expand, so that our exposure to experience can expand. For what? So that our joy can expand, you see. So when you get everything in the framework of it all exists for the expression of life, it all exists for the opportunity to be, and none of us can cease to be. There's nothing broken that needs to be fixed. There's nothing out of whack that needs to be brought back into alignment. In other words, well-being abounds. And when you get in sync with that knowledge, then you thrive. And it sounds to us like the rampage of appreciation that you've discovered has been the perfect path for you to get back in sync with who you are. And now you're back in sync with who you are. Now what? Now what? In other words, now what?
I want more.
More exposure, to more experience, to more ideas, to more awareness, to more good ideas, to more unfulfilled desires, to more awareness that I want something that I'm not in alignment with, to more awareness that it's time for me to, when possible, to make a legal U-turn, for more awareness that it feels better to feel good than it does to feel bad, to more awareness that I can change the thought just a little bit and I can bring myself back into alignment, to more awareness that when I'm in alignment, I'm full of who I really am. For what? For joy. For joy. It's all for joy. So we talk endlessly about ways that you can feel better, and you say, good, now I feel better, now I'll get what I want. And we say, yeah, you'll feel better. Say, no, I'm going to feel better so that I can get what I want. And we say, yeah, so you can feel better. No, Abraham, you misunderstand. I'm going to do these exercises. I'm going to do this rampage of appreciation. I'm going to learn to move up this emotional scale because then I'll get what I want. And we say, yeah, to feel good. You say, well, what is it all for? And we say, joy. And you say, but really, why am I here? What's the purpose? What's the purpose of this life experience? Surely it's for expansion. And we say, that'll happen anyway. You say, surely it's for freedom. And we say, that is, whether you know it or not. You say, well, then what is it all about? We say, for joy. No, really, what's it about? It's for the fun of being in this moment. It's for the exhilaration of a moment of clarity. It's for the exhilaration of those feelings of appreciation. It's for interacting with others. It's for the feeling of not being in perfect alignment and then finding perfect alignment. And then watching the result of being in perfect alignment. You're eternal beings, folks. You might as well get used to the idea that you are eternally incomplete. You're not ever going to get it done. And if getting something done is holding you hostage, if you're saying, well, when I get that done, then I will feel better, we say, it's going to be a long haul. Because there's always going to be another and another and another. But when you discover the exhilaration of being incomplete, the exhilaration of knowing that you're not finished, but there is another idea and another idea and another idea, and then you begin noticing that the joy is the birthing of the idea and then the coming into alignment with it and then the manifestation of it and then the birthing of the idea and the coming into alignment with it and then the manifestation of it. And then when you get to the place that the manifestation of it becomes a lesser important part of the journey, that the coming into alignment is really what the journey is, then you're free. The only thing that has ever bound any of you is being separated to some degree from that knowledge and that sensation of being this worthy, brilliant, eager, worthy, brilliant, eager, worthy, brilliant, deserving, eager, worthy, brilliant, deserving, 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 blessed, deserving. But you compare yourself with each other and then you say, well, that one's doing more. And we say, so what? That's where that one's focused. Of course he's doing more. Law of attraction's doing the work. In other words, whatever you focus upon is going to expand. There's no virtue in struggle or suffering. There's no reward waiting for that. That's tricky, isn't it? How'd you come around to that anyway? Somebody said, do this and you'll be blessed. And do this and you won't. And then you started watching people and you noticed there were a lot of people not doing that who seemed to be pretty blessed. And a lot of people doing that didn't seem to not be blessed. So then you brought it up. By the way, you said, I'm happy to keep your rules because I do want to go to heaven. I do want to join your club. But I've noticed that there are people breaking the rules. And they seem to be thriving anyway. And then they dropped it on you. They said, oh, you cannot evaluate it here. You have to wait until you die. And then you got separated from anything that you could measure. Once you get separated from anything that you can measure, then there's no telling which end is up. Once you have reconnected consciously to something that you can measure, now you must live happily ever after, you see.
So if there's no desire, there could be no universe.
That would be accurate, but it is not possible for there to be no desire, so it is a really ridiculous comment, isn't it? That's
I don't know about that.
Well, we're just having fun with you. In other words,
I was just trying to get it straight in my mind that it's our job to have desire. For without desire, the universe would not exist. Is that correct?
That is correct, but you know, it's not your job to have desire in that sense, because you could not, at this point in the game, cease to have desire, because the variety that you are exposed to causes you to, at many levels of your being, formulate your personal preferences. You are so selfishly wired. You are so self-aware at all levels of your being. You are so cognizant of what's around you, and these desires are just rampaging from you, and it is that desire that summons source. So you never need to worry about a halting of the universe, because there is so much variety and so much exposure to the variety and so many desires being launched so steadily that we are all in very good shape as far as eternity goes. The question is, what are you doing in your now in relationship to that? And that's all about your emotions, you see. And the better you feel, then the more you are in alignment with it. And that's why we torture you and tease you a little bit by saying to you that you never get it done. You can't get it wrong, and you'll never get it done. And the reason you can't get it wrong is because you never get it done. So even if you're standing in a place that feels wrong, it's not done. And since it's not done, you can reach for the thought that feels better. And if you're wise enough and selfish enough, wise enough and selfish enough, we like the combination, wise enough and selfish enough, wise enough meaning selfish enough to care about how you feel, then it's a sure bet. If you're not wise enough to be selfish, if somebody has convinced you that the way you feel doesn't matter, and that true wisdom comes in trying to follow some sort of guidance that is outside of you, now you'll flounder, and now you'll not be sure, and you might even suffer, but you'll never stop wanting to feel better. So every person that's in that lost place is launching rockets of desire to get into a better feeling place. In other words, there's no possible way for anything other than well-being to continue to be perpetuated. There is nothing to ever worry about. The only thing that could ever happen to anyone is that they could, for whatever reason, disallow the well-being right now. But in the next moment, they could stop doing that, you see. When you start releasing resistance on purpose, that's when life really gets fun. Oh, it's fun to be little and to not know about resistance and just expect things to go well for you and watch it happen. In other words, all of you live that again and again and you love every minute of it. But it is even more delicious when you feel resistance and you consciously know what to do about it.